historic conflicts.
June 6, 1944. Before the sun rose, the fate of an entire continent hung in the balance. Along the stormy coast of Normandy, over 5,000 ships and 11,000 aircraft gathered for the largest invasion in human history. More than 156,000 Allied soldiers prepared to storm Hitler's Fortress Europe. Some were just 18 years old, their hearts pounding inside steel landing craft. They had one mission: break through or die trying. What followed was a day of chaos, courage, and sacrifice, one that would decide the future of Europe and of the world. This is the story of D-Day, not just a battle, but a turning point in history. D-Day didn't happen overnight. It was the result of months of planning, deception, and daring ambition, all under one code name: Operation Overlord. Supreme Allied Commander Dwight D. Eisenhower led an international coalition, American, British, Canadian, and more, all united by one goal: liberate Europe. But the Germans were ready. They had fortified the Atlantic coast with bunkers, barbed wire, and thousands of mines. So the Allies had to outsmart Hitler. They launched a massive deception campaign, Operation Fortitude, tricking the Nazis into believing the invasion would strike at Pas de Calais, not Normandy. Fake armies, inflatable tanks, double agents. An entire phantom invasion was created to confuse German intelligence. Meanwhile, real troops trained relentlessly in Britain. Engineers built artificial harbors. Commanders rehearsed every move. Weather forecasts were watched minute by minute. The stakes were clear. If they failed, Hitler would win more time and more power. But if they succeeded, it would be the beginning of the end for the Third Reich. Everything now hinged on one bold decision: to cross the Channel and strike. June 6, 1944, 00:15 a.m. Darkness cloaked the skies over Nazi-occupied France. Then came the rumble of engines. Thousands of Allied paratroopers dropped behind enemy lines, British, American, Canadian, scattered across the countryside. Their mission? Cut off German reinforcements and sow chaos before the beach landings began. Many landed miles off target. Some were shot before hitting the ground, but others succeeded, blowing up bridges, seizing key roads, and throwing the Germans into confusion. Then came the morning. At dawn, the horizon turned black with ships, over 5,000 vessels stretching across the sea. On board were 156,000 soldiers, crammed into steel landing craft. Seasick, scared, silent. The ramps dropped, and all hell broke loose. At Omaha Beach, machine guns tore into the Americans before they even reached the sand. Men drowned under heavy gear. Others ran into walls of bullets. It was a slaughter, but they kept moving, crawling, charging, dragging wounded comrades with them. At Utah, Gold, Juno, and Sword beaches, British and Canadian troops pushed inland, facing mines, bunkers, and fierce resistance. By nightfall, the beaches were secured. Over 10,000 casualties, but the line was broken. The Atlantic Wall had cracked. The Allies were in, and Hitler's dream of domination was beginning to collapse. The beaches were secured, but the battle was far from over. For weeks after D-Day, fierce fighting continued in the hedgerows and villages of Normandy. The Germans didn't retreat quietly. The Allies faced ambushes, snipers, and relentless counterattacks. Towns were reduced to rubble. Civilians caught in the crossfire suffered alongside the soldiers. But the Allied push never stopped. One foothold became a front. That front became a breakthrough. By late August, Paris was liberated. The success of D-Day cracked open Hitler's fortress. It forced Germany into a war on two fronts, East and West. The Soviet Union advanced from the East, the Western Allies from the West. The Nazi regime was being crushed between two unstoppable forces. But victory came at a terrible cost. Over 10,000 Allied casualties on D-Day alone, thousands more in the weeks that followed. Behind every number was a story, a son, a brother, a friend who never came home. Yet their sacrifice wasn't in vain. D-Day changed the trajectory of the war, giving hope to the occupied and proving that tyranny could be challenged. It was not just a military success, it was a moral turning point. A day when the free world stood up and fought back. Today, the beaches of Normandy are quiet. The waves still crash against the shore, but the gunfire is gone. In place of bunkers and barbed wire stand white crosses and stone memorials, thousands of them. etched with names of young men who gave everything. D-Day was more than a battle. It was a moment when the free world made a stand, when nations came together to face unimaginable odds, not for conquest, but for liberation. It showed that courage can overcome tyranny, that unity can defeat oppression, and that history is shaped not just by leaders, but by ordinary people doing extraordinary things. For the people of Europe, it meant hope. For the generations that followed, it meant freedom. And for all of us today, it remains a reminder. Freedom is never on, never free. It must be defended. It must be remembered. So the next time you walk a quiet beach, or speak your mind, or live your life in peace, remember June 6, 1944. Remember D-Day, and remember those who made that peace possible with their lives. Thank you for respecting history. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and write the bell so you don't miss any battles.